Obviously, alien technology would be a threat to all humans on Earth. It wouldn't care how we split the land.
A mysterious object has slipped into our solar system, and it might be hiding in plain sight. At first glance, it looks like just another comet drifting through space.
It's only the third time that we've actually detected an object beyond our solar system.
But the evidence doesn't line up. Some scientists whisper it could be more than a ball of rock and ice from the stars. Harvard's Avi Loeb argues it may be a disguised probe. Some viral posts even claim that Elon Musk hinted 3I Atlas looks more like advanced technology than a comet, sparking fears that if it really is alien, humanity may face a terrifying choice: run or destroy it. So the question is, what's really going on with 3I Atlas? Why 3I Atlas looks like a comet. In July 2025, an object labeled Atlas entered the inner solar system. It was first noted by the NASA-funded Atlas Survey Telescope in Chile and logged as a comet. But its motion quickly showed it was not an ordinary solar system visitor. Astronomers confirmed it was interstellar, the third such object after Oumuamua and Borisov. It was given the formal designation 3I Atlas. From the start, however, this so-called comet began to defy expectations. Observers were intrigued by its unusual speed, lack of a visible tail, and strange light emissions. To many, it appeared to be a comet. But to Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb, it looked like something else entirely. Loeb had already gained attention in 2017 by suggesting that Oumuamua could have been artificial. Now, he was back, arguing that 3I Atlas might not be a comet at all, but an intelligently designed probe disguised to look like one.
What we know about interstellar objects that come into the solar system from outside, similar to 3I Atlas, that look anomalous.
There's something deeply unsettling about 3I Atlas, and not because it's an interstellar visitor. What unnerves top scientists like Loeb is how well it hides in plain sight. While NASA continues to label it a comet, Loeb proposes something far more deliberate: an alien spacecraft using the perfect disguise. Let's break this down. A comet is a natural cloak. Chunks of rock and volatile ices make up the typical comet. As it nears a star, the heat causes sublimation, forming a luminous coma and long tail. That tail isn't just pretty, it's chaotic, dusty, and impossible to see through. Even with our most advanced instruments like the Hubble Space Telescope, we can't pierce the veil. If you wanted to send a probe to another solar system undetected, encasing it in comet-like material is pure genius. That's exactly what Loeb suggests. He proposes that 3I Atlas may be an engineered vehicle wrapped in ice and dust, a stealth interstellar probe. It's not just theoretical either. NASA itself has studied the idea of using ice shielding to protect spacecraft from cosmic radiation. The science is already there, only this time, it might not be human. Why is this significant? Because every characteristic of 3I Atlas conveniently mimics a natural comet, giving it plausible deniability. Yet, scientists note several features that don't quite add up. For example, the coma appears off-center, the tail is absent or oddly directed, and the internal structure is more reflective and consistent than expected. These aren't minor quirks, these are red flags. Now combine this with the object's precise trajectory and behavior, which we'll cover in the next chapter, and the case becomes more disturbing. If this is tech, it isn't just hiding for fun, it's camouflaged for a reason. Whether that's surveillance, scientific sampling, or something darker, the disguise works only if we continue to call it a comet. And that's exactly what many agencies are doing. Despite increasing anomalies, the official stance remains cautious. That's not surprising. Admitting the alternative would be earth-shaking. But Loeb warns against playing it safe when everything about this object screams unnatural. In fact, if an alien civilization wanted to test our detection capabilities, this is how they do it. Send a disguised probe, make it resemble a natural object, let it perform flybys of key planets, and watch our response, or lack thereof. If this truly is a reconnaissance mission, then we've already failed the first test. We didn't catch it. We didn't stop it. We almost let it pass as just another rock. 3I Atlas might be more than a cosmic tourist. It could be the first probe from an advanced intelligence cloaked in ice, flying silently through our solar system under the perfect cover. Our own assumptions, the light that shouldn't exist. As if 3I Atlas wasn't suspicious enough, a new revelation may have just shattered the last bit of doubt about its so-called natural origin. It glows. but not the way a comet should. In a blog post and preliminary paper, Avi Loeb and a colleague analyzed publicly released NASA images and came to a provocative conclusion. The object is emitting its own light, not merely reflecting sunlight like a typical comet or asteroid. At first glance, this might seem like a minor technicality, but in the world of astrophysics, how an object emits or reflects light is everything. Light tells us about composition, size, structure, and most importantly, energy sources. According to Loeb, the brightness profile around 3I Atlas is highly concentrated near its core. That means the glow isn't being scattered by dust or ice. It's coming from something compact and intense. In his analysis, Loeb concludes, the simplest interpretation is that the nucleus produces most of the light. If that's true, it rules out a conventional comet. A regular comet's brightness comes from sunlight hitting the surrounding dust cloud and tail, not from the rocky nucleus itself. But with 3I Atlas, there's little to no tail, and the light is front-focused, concentrated at the head. This detail has radical implications. If the object were reflecting sunlight, it would need to be massive, about 12 miles long, to account for the brightness seen in Hubble imagery. But if the glow is self-generated, the actual object could be less than about 330 feet in diameter. Now here's where things get even stranger. Loeb proposed two possibilities for the source of this light: a natural nuclear-powered object, such as a fragment from a supernova core rich in radioactive material, an alien spacecraft powered by a nuclear engine with visible emissions from its propulsion system or internal operations. The first idea, while intriguing, is almost entirely dismissed by Loeb himself. The odds of finding such a fragment in the vastness of interstellar space are astronomically low. The second option, however, fits more neatly with everything else we know about 3I Atlas: the speed, the trajectory, the timing, and now, the glow. What's more, Loeb speculates that the glowing material might actually be dust kicked up by the craft itself, debris accumulated during its interstellar journey and now shedding as it heats up or powers on. Think of it like space grit being ejected as the object accelerates or prepares for a maneuver. Adding to the mystery, NASA's own published images show a lack of a tail. Again, highly irregular for something labeled a comet. Some images even show what appears to be directional light emission, focused at the object's leading edge. That's not how sunlight bounces off ice. That's how an active energy source behaves. This all raises a serious challenge to NASA's narrative. Loeb has gone on record criticizing their rush to label objects without sufficient evidence. He even reminded the public that NASA once misidentified Elon Musk's Tesla Roadster as a new asteroid. So, mistakes aren't impossible. Misclassifications happen, but the consequences here are far more serious. If 3I Atlas is generating energy, then it is likely an engineered object. If it's engineered, then someone built it. And if someone built it, we are no longer dealing with theories. We are dealing with contact. Precision that defies chance. If the light from 3I Atlas is unsettling, then its flight path is downright alarming. This object isn't drifting, it's moving with the kind of precision you'd expect from a guided missile. According to data models and calculations from Loeb's team, the trajectory of 3I Atlas is so finely tuned that its odds of being natural are incredibly small. This is the first red flag. Loeb's paper places the chance of this alignment happening randomly at just 0.2%. That's 1 in 500, but it gets stranger. As the object moves, it doesn't just cruise through empty space, it makes close flybys of multiple planets: Mars, Venus, and Jupiter. These aren't near misses. These are well-timed gravity assists, a method human engineers use to increase a spacecraft's speed or alter its direction without using fuel. The odds of that happening unintentionally? About 1 in 20,000, according to Loeb's modeling. In case you're unfamiliar, a gravity assist or slingshot maneuver uses a planet's motion and gravitational pull to redirect a spacecraft. NASA's Voyager missions and the New Horizons probe to Pluto all use this technique. But in every case, those trajectories were planned years in advance and fine-tuned with pinpoint accuracy. So how is it that a supposedly random object from another star system just happens to line itself up with multiple planets in succession, maximizing its momentum and efficiency as it crosses the solar system? And here's the catch. These aren't just efficient routes. They're also strategic ones. These planets are major observational and navigational nodes in the solar system. If 3I Atlas were mapping or scanning, these close approaches would give it critical gravitational and observational vantage points. It's like walking the perimeter of a base before breaching the interior. Critics argue that comets and asteroids can follow unusual paths, especially interstellar ones. That's true, but they don't follow paths that mimic human-designed space probe strategies. Not consistently, and not with this level of precision. Loeb emphasizes that if 3I Atlas had approached from another angle, or even slightly earlier or later, it would have missed these planetary assists entirely. But instead, it appears to be threading the needle. Aligning with planets it has no business getting near unless someone or something planned it. Also consider the direction of origin. Loeb points out that 3I Atlas appears to be coming from the center of the Milky Way, a dense region rich in stars, dust, and electromagnetic noise. That makes it harder to detect until it's already within our solar system. This late detection happened with Oumuamua too, but in this case, the angle and timing almost suggest it was intentionally obscured until it was too late to respond. We're not just looking at a rock on a random joyride. We're watching an object that behaves like it has a mission profile, the kind of flight path that requires calculation, planning, and intent. The moment it could vanish. There's a brief period coming soon when no one on Earth will be able to see 3I Atlas, not with telescopes, not with radar, and not with anything. It will pass behind the sun, entering what astronomers call solar conjunction. For a few critical weeks, the object will be completely invisible to us, shielded by the sun's blinding glare, and that's where things get unsettling. In most cases, this kind of solar blackout is routine. Spacecraft on Mars go dark during solar conjunctions every couple of years. Communications pause, and nothing out of the ordinary happens. But 3I Atlas isn't a known spacecraft. It's an unidentified interstellar object with a questionable origin, a suspicious trajectory, and now, an unobservable window of opportunity. If this were a reconnaissance mission, whether robotic or otherwise, this would be the perfect time to maneuver without detection. Loeb has openly raised this possibility, warning that the solar eclipse could be more than just bad luck for observers. It could be a deliberate tactic. The timing is too perfect to ignore. Here's why this matters. Any propulsion activation or trajectory change would be completely hidden. Infrared, radio, and optical observation will be blocked. When the object re-emerges, any course adjustments made behind the sun will be undetectable until it's too late. This isn't just theory. We've seen similar tactics in human space missions. NASA has used solar conjunction periods to hide maneuvers or launch satellites when minimal Earth observation is available. In warfare, this would be considered a stealth window, a chance to reposition before enemy sensors come back online. Some skeptics argue this is all just part of the celestial clockwork. But Loeb points to the combination of trajectory, timing, and now this invisible phase, suggesting that we may be looking at a craft that knows when it's being watched and when it's not. What's even more intriguing is that space agencies aren't talking much about this blackout. You'd expect coordinated observation campaigns to anticipate the re-emergence of the object, but there's been little transparency. Loeb has urged NASA to use the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter's HiRISE camera during the Mars flyby and for the Juno spacecraft near Jupiter to track the object, but nothing is officially confirmed. This silence is telling. If 3I Atlas performs a slight course correction while out of sight, it could return on a drastically different trajectory. And depending on the new vector, it might get much closer to Earth than originally expected. To be clear, the majority of astronomers still believe this object is natural, but belief is not proof. And in this case, the most crucial phase of its solar system journey will occur while it's completely hidden. We won't be able to react. We won't be able to track. We won't even know it moved until it's already back. Dark Forest Theory. Not all threats come with sound and fury. Some arrive silently, wrapped in mystery and shrouded in cosmic dust. If 3I Atlas is indeed an engineered object, the next question is chilling. Why is it here? To answer that, we have to examine a warning many chose to ignore, one issued by Stephen Hawking himself. Hawking repeatedly cautioned against broadcasting signals into space, warning that we might be drawing attention to ourselves in ways that could be dangerous. If aliens ever visit us, he once said, the outcome might be similar to when Columbus landed in America, which didn't turn out well for the Native Americans. Despite these warnings, humanity has done the opposite. For over a century, we've been shouting into the void. Radio and television broadcasts deep space beacons, and deliberate messages like the Arecibo signal and the Voyager golden records have all been sent out into the cosmos, broadcasting our presence to anyone listening. We've assumed contact would be peaceful, but what if we're the noisy neighbor in a galaxy that prefers silence? That's the essence of the dark forest hypothesis, a chilling theory from science fiction, now being taken seriously by some in the astrophysics community. In this view, the universe is a dark forest full of silent, hidden civilizations. Each one is armed, cautious, and listening. No one calls out, because to reveal yourself is to risk being eliminated first. The reasoning is simple. If two civilizations don't know each other's intentions, and one has the power to destroy the other, the safest course is preemptive silence, or even preemptive strike. In such a universe, survival depends on not being seen. Now, imagine what an advanced civilization might think when they detect Earth. Our electromagnetic footprint has been leaking into space for over 100 years. That bubble now extends over 100 light years. Any observer within that range could have noticed our rapid technological rise, from combustion engines to nuclear weapons, space probes, AI, and now interplanetary ambitions. From their perspective, we may not look like explorers. We may look like a young, aggressive species on the rise. Loeb has raised this very point. If 3I Atlas is not natural, then perhaps it's not just here to observe. It could be here to assess our threat level, or worse, to act on what we've already revealed. The silence of the cosmos may not be due to a lack of life, but because life out there has learned to stay hidden. And we've broken that rule. To be clear, no direct evidence suggests hostile intent. But in Loeb's words, if it's alien, assume it's hostile until proven otherwise. That's not paranoia. That's basic strategic thinking in a universe where the first one to act may be the only one to survive. As unsettling as this theory is, it might explain everything. The disguise, the trajectory, the blackout, and the silence. Maybe we haven't just been found. Maybe we've been noticed by something that doesn't take risks. Is NASA preparing for war in space? When it comes to space threats, the standard scientific protocol is to observe, analyze, and remain calm. But behind closed doors, a very different conversation may be happening, one that involves intercept strategies, high-velocity interception, and potentially nuclear payloads. It's all tied to a rumored program called SHIELD 3. And if it exists, it could be humanity's first real planetary defense plan against a possibly intelligent interstellar visitor. Although not officially acknowledged, several leaks and expert discussions suggest that NASA and other agencies are actively exploring rapid response interception capabilities. SHIELD 3 is believed to be a framework for deploying a mission that could either observe 3I Atlas up close or neutralize it if necessary. Why the urgency? Because of one factor: speed. 3I Atlas is traveling at over 130,000 miles per hour. That makes traditional intercept missions nearly impossible using current chemical propulsion technology. By the time a launch is ready, the object could already be halfway across the solar system. Any mission aiming to intercept it would need to launch early, fast, and far, likely from Earth orbit or even deeper space. Here's where SHIELD 3 enters the picture. According to sources close to theoretical planning teams, SHIELD 3 isn't a single spacecraft, but a concept framework. It involves modifying existing spacecraft designs for higher speed intercepts, exploring advanced propulsion such as ion drives or nuclear thermal engines, fitting probes with instrumentation to capture close-range data, or, in a worst-case scenario, detonating a payload to deflect or destroy a threat. The possibility of using a nuclear device has been floated in multiple defense circles, not to destroy Earth-bound comets, but to deal with something far more advanced. If 3I Atlas turned out to be maneuverable or intentionally hostile, SHIELD 3's mission wouldn't be diplomatic, it would be tactical. This isn't just sci-fi speculation. Planetary defense studies at NASA and international space agencies have already modeled nuclear deflection strategies. Most are aimed at natural threats, asteroids, comets, or space debris on a collision course. But 3I Atlas presents a very different challenge. Unlike natural bodies, its trajectory could change mid-flight, and unlike any comet, it may respond to observation or approach. Even if 3I Atlas shows no aggression, the simple fact that it might be technologically advanced and uninvited raises a defense dilemma. Do nothing and risk vulnerability, or act and risk escalation? The answer depends heavily on what we observe after its solar blackout window ends, when it reappears and either continues on its expected path or deviates in ways that suggest intelligent control. Loeb has been vocal about the need for more proactive observation, calling on NASA to direct active probes like Juno, orbiting Jupiter, and the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter to gather high-resolution imagery and data during the object's close flybys. But if the object changes speed or direction, the window for non-invasive study will close quickly. One critical aspect of SHIELD 3, if real, would be early detection and response protocols. That means identifying threats before they enter the inner solar system, tracking objects in real time, and having standby intercept designs ready to deploy. Some experts argue this kind of planning is overkill, that 3I Atlas is just another icy rock. But in defense strategy, planning for the unlikely is better than being caught off guard. If this is a probe, and it's scanning, testing, or deploying, humanity must be ready for scenarios we've never faced before. Contact or catastrophe. The moment 3I Atlas emerges from behind the sun will be one of the most anticipated and potentially volatile moments in modern history. For weeks, Earth will have been blind. Once it reappears, telescopes will scramble to lock on, data centers will light up with incoming readings, and every agency with even a vague interest in space will be watching. Because this isn't just about science anymore. It's about what we do next. If the object returns on its projected path, the headlines will calm. The comet narrative will resume. But if anything at all, has changed about its course, velocity, or emissions, then the story shifts overnight from curiosity to global alert. First, the geopolitical response. If the object shows signs of intelligent control, we will enter a new kind of Cold War. Only this time, the rival isn't another country. It's something unknown and possibly unreachable. Expect nations to compete for control of the narrative, access to data, and potentially any mission to intercept or communicate. Spacefaring nations, the US, China, Russia, India, the EU bloc, will all position themselves as first responders, not to save humanity necessarily, but to own the discovery. And with that ownership comes power, scientific prestige, political leverage, and the opportunity to frame what the world believes. Next comes the intelligence game. Don't expect everything to be public. If SHIELD 3 or any intercept program is real, parts of the plan will likely remain classified. Governments may hold back the most critical information, trajectory changes, energy emissions, or signs of tech beneath the dust. Why? Because control over alien tech, or even the perception of it, is the ultimate military advantage. Then, the disinformation. Social media, conspiracy forums, fringe outlets, they'll go into overdrive. Fake images, fake trajectories, claims of contact, claims of cover-ups. In a digital world already swamped with mistrust, 3I Atlas could break the internet. Meanwhile, the scientific community will split. Some will demand total transparency, pushing for shared open-source data. Others, fearing panic or misuse, may call for data lockdowns until proper assessments can be made. Institutions may fracture along ideological lines. Is this an opportunity for peaceful study or a threat to be neutralized? And finally, the public response. Expect everything from mass spiritual awakenings to existential dread. Religious groups may interpret this event as divine confirmation or cosmic judgment. Some will panic. Some will deny. Others will celebrate. But almost no one will remain unaffected. Because even the smallest sign that 3I Atlas is intelligently guided changes humanity's self-image forever. It's not about flying saucers, it's about identity, purpose, and survival. Who are we if we are not alone? What if we're not the first? What if we're not the most advanced? And perhaps most urgently, what if someone else already knows we're here? In the end, this may not come down to what 3I Atlas is, but what we choose to believe it means. Whether it's a natural relic or an alien craft, its journey through our solar system has already revealed something about us. Our readiness, our fear, and our fragile assumptions about the universe we live in. The countdown to reappearance has begun, and whatever comes next, we'll never look at the sky the same way again. Thanks for watching. If this video shook you, hit like and subscribe for more urgent updates. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What should humanity do next? Stay sharp, stay informed, and keep your eyes open for what's coming.